This video was made possible by EA Game Changers. Hey y'all, it's the CuteCoffeeGal, and I am back with another early access look at our Sims 4 seasons. Thanks so much to the EA Game Changers for giving me early access to this pack to be able to share with you guys. So what we're doing right now is something I have been looking forward to ever since this pack was announced, which is I'm going to be updating my Decades Challenge for Sims 4 Seasons. So as you can see, I haven't even loaded up the game yet. We're going to figure out which season to start in and kind of do a little bit of prep work, if you will, which I hope will be a helpful look into how you might be able to update your Decades Challenge if you're playing the Decades Challenge, but also just some of the kind of thought process that goes into the rules of the Decades Challenge. So if you haven't already, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel down below. Hit that little notification bell so that you know every time I upload a video. And make sure you give this video a big thumbs up to show just how excited you are for the Sims 4 seasons. So let's hop into it. We've got 4 different seasons to pick from. So with spring, we get to, it's a great time to plant your garden, which, to be perfectly honest, we've already planted our garden, and it's been going for quite some time. You can also take advantage of spring showers and watch out for mud puddles. So that's the spring. With the summer, aren't these just like the cutest animations ever? Like, it's so freaking adorable. With the summer, temperatures are climbing, so beat the heat with water and balloons and sprinklers. Watch out for the thunderstorms. They can be electrifying. In the fall, gather your harvest produce to make a Harvest Fest feast, to celebrate with friends and family. Enjoy the changing leaves and leaf piles before things get chilly. And then with winter, when you're not bundled up indoors, have some fun in the snow or on the ice. Don't forget to decorate for Winterfest and plan your New Year's resolutions. So I've kind of been giving it a little bit of thought to figure out which season makes the most sense for us to start at based on where we are in the Decades Challenge. Because if you've been watching, you know that I do try to keep track of time pretty specifically as I'm playing. Every sim day equals half of a year. So one sim day will be early 1925, then the next one will be late 1925, and then early 1926. So it kind of moves around in that way. So we are starting where the game is currently saved right now is on, I believe, if my notes are right, early 1926. So that means that we've got 4 more years until we hit the 1930s, so 8 sim days. And since the seasons themselves are each 7 days long, that I'm kind of inclined to have us start in fall, because then that means that as we hit the 1930s, it'll be winter for New Year's. But then I also had the thought that it might make more sense for us to start in the summer so that we have an opportunity to have a little bit more of a growing season to get us prepared for what's going to be the Depression in the 1930s. And things are going to change pretty drastically then. So I actually think I'm going to go that way. Let's start off in summer. So whenever I first start playing with the Decades Challenge, I'll be in summer. I'm not going to be playing in this part. I'm just going to have it on pause, but we're going to do a bunch of setups. So let's go ahead. We'll hop into summer. Those little bees, I swear, they are so adorable. So here we've got our world, Windenburg, and here is where our family farm is. I'm not going to put too much effort into hopping around to all of the other, like, this house right here. This is Rose's household. We've got over here, where are they? We've got more of them. Yeah, here are Wyman. Those are the sisters of George's. We've got George, who is our Clyde of Bonnie and Clyde. Those are his sisters. So I'm not going to really update all of them for seasons, but definitely our house is going to get some updates. So I'm going to go ahead and hop in here. The 2 biggest things that I'm going to be doing are around the calendar and then in our garden area. I also need to update all of our people so that they've got summer clothes and winter clothes. And I am going to hop in and do that here. That being said, I would imagine that I'm going to have, let me just make sure I get it paused here because I don't want it to play. Yeah, pause. Okay. I don't want the I don't want the winter and summer clothes to not be time period appropriate, but I imagine I'm going to have a hard time finding the right kinds of things for them to wear with just what comes in the pack and all of the other, Max's content. So I am going to give them the clothing just so that they've got it, but at the same time, I'm going to be on the lookout to see if there is some good CC that I can download for those outfits. So if you know of any good summer or winter outfits that are for the 1920s, 30s, 40s, because, we're going to keep playing here, let me know in the comments down below, because I imagine that that's going to be something that a lot of our kind of regular suspects with decade CC, they're going to need to update some of that stuff and come up with some new pieces. So it looks like it is Wednesday morning, and it's not very bright. It is going to rain today, and it's a little cloudy right now. So that's already an interesting new thing about the game. So let's do the calendar first, because I did do a first look at that whenever in the last video that I did, but I'm going to specifically update it for the Decades Challenge. So as you know, with the Decades Challenge, we do try to be as realistic as possible. And so I am going to do things like the little gnomes that are attached to some of these holidays. I think some of them are in Harvest Fest. So So I am going to edit this, and I'm going to take the gnomes out, because that's not a very realistic thing that you would do with your, with the Decades Challenge. I'm also, and I gave a lot of thought to this, I actually am going to rename all of the holidays so that they become their real world equivalent for where this takes place. So I've always said that this Decades Challenge took place somewhere on a farm in the southern United States, the southeastern United States. So that's kind of where we're grounded, and so I'm going to go ahead and make this be Thanksgiving. Another thing that is actually interesting to kind of note, I watched the live stream very carefully and was taking all kinds of notes to figure out what are the new components that we need to figure out when they are appropriate time-wise so that I could update the Decades Challenge rules. And one of those things is that people didn't really start decorating their homes for the holidays until the 1940s. It was kind of a post-World War II thing that people did. So I'm actually going to take decorate off the table here. It's not going to be an option for us for Thanksgiving. We may add it back in the 1940s, but at the moment, that's not a part of our Thanksgiving holiday. And so there are a few different things like that. I am going to be updating the rules. So I always, in all of these Decades Challenge videos, I link to the Decades Challenge rules. In the description below, I have kind of a modified version that I play with. So I'm going to be updating them 4 seasons over the next day or so. So make sure that you check that out if you're playing along and you have seasons, so that you can see kind of where different things happen. So I do want to look and see what else we could add to Harvest Fest, though, because now it's a little bland, and I kind of want to leave a space open so that we can put the decorations back in later, but that still leaves us with 2 open spaces here. Okay, so I've kind of looked through all the different traditions. There's so many things in here, you guys. It's just kind of crazy how much you can customize these things. So I thought that the 2 that made the most sense to kind of add in were to tell stories, so we can gather around and tell our favorite stories. It's much more interactive than reading a book. So in my mind, that is kind of a nod to the way that historically, in the earlier part of the 1900s, people would tell the story of the Pilgrims and Indians. We now know that that's not really exactly the right story to be telling, and is very much not truly appreciative of the kind of atrocities that the settlers did upon the Native Americans. But again, and going along with this being somewhat historically accurate, I do think that those kinds of stories were things that people talked about early on. So I'm adding that in as one of our holiday traditions for Thanksgiving. And then for baking, I think that makes a lot of sense, that people kind of would bake fun things for their grand meal. I am noticing that after I selected some things, this name changed back to Harvest Fest. So I'm going to see if it even takes. I wonder if maybe we can't change the name of holidays that are pre-made. So, and we have different decoration themes that we can have here. So Harvest Fest is definitely the correct decoration theme for this. And like I said, I'm leaving that one open so that we can use it for decorations in the future. So they're going to get a day off from work or school. That makes sense to me. It didn't stick. Yes, Thanksgiving. It's stuck. Excellent. Okay. So again, going to kind of update the holidays that already exist. We're going to make Winterfest be Christmas. We're not going to decorate because that's not happening at this point in time. But a festive spirit, I think, makes sense. Opening presents makes sense. Grand meal. Father Winter. So this is one of those things where I'm kind of like, and how much do you want it to not be like The Sims? Because I do kind of want to keep Father Winter, even though I know that that's not realistic. So let me know in the comments below what you think about that. If you think that we should remove Father Winter. We've got some time before we'll get to Christmas. So if you guys think that, you know what, that's not a realistic thing, take him out for this particular challenge, I will absolutely do that. I am, however, going to add, I think, attend a ceremony. So I'm not 100% sure exactly how this works, but in my mind, this would be going to church for Christmas. So I'm going to put it in there. We may decide that that is not... that, like, once we actually try it out, maybe that's not what we thought it was. But as you know, that does mean that now I don't have a spot for decorations. So I do think that we could possibly take this out maybe when it comes time to decorating. People do still, I mean, today they still attend church pretty regularly on Christmas. And so I kind of want to keep that if that is what I think it is. But we've just got to play with a little bit. Maybe we'll take Father Winter out at that point. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you've got a particular opinion about that. And I am going to see if we can make this be Christmas. If I can spell today. Okay. So we'll have festive spirit, opening presents, grand meal, Father Winter, and attending a holiday ceremony. So that is that one. For New Year's, these actually, we're going to remove decorate, but the rest of them might be the same. Yeah, I feel like those... I'm just kind of looking at our other options here. I guess we could invite guests. Don't really feel a need to do that, though. Yeah, I think that that's going to be that one. We're going to let that just be kind of a fun evening. So that's New Year's Eve. And then the other holiday that is already pre-made here on the calendar is for Love Day, which is Valentine's Day. And I did look Valentine's Day up. It looks as though it has been kind of an ongoing thing since... early on, definitely before this challenge started in the 1890s. And so we're definitely going to keep Valentine's Day. I would guess that some of the traditions have changed a little bit as the greeting card industry has skyrocketed. But it does look as though people actually did exchange chocolates and little trinkets and things with people that they loved early on. So the holiday in general stays the same. Let's see, Valentine's Day. And so we've got romantic spirit, give flowers, and go on a date. I think that all of those things sound appropriate for this particular thing. The one that I am kind of questioning a little bit is the go on a date. Because... no, I'm going to leave it. I was thinking that, you know, our family probably wouldn't actually... like, babysitters weren't really that big of a thing back then, but they'd have older siblings that might be able to watch if they wanted to go out for a quiet stroll together or something. You know, like, what a date looked like probably was different, but overall, I think that this still makes sense. They do not have the day off from work, and I think that that's appropriate, so we're going to leave that as is. So that's it for editing the holidays that are on the calendar as it currently exists. But I do want to add a few more calendar activities, a few more holidays. And some of these we're going to add now, and some of them we're going to add in the future. So let's see what order. I have them like all scribbled on notes all over my post-it notes on my desk. So let's start off. I'm going to try to talk about them in order, like calendar order as they exist now. So one of the days that I'm definitely going to be adding to the calendar, but not yet, is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That is a hugely important holiday that we have, but it didn't get added onto our calendars until the 1980s. And so that will be in the rules update to add MLK Day in the 1980s. So we're not adding it right now, but it'll be in the rules moving forward. We also have Independence Day, and we're going to go ahead and add that on here. It is a summer holiday, and it looks like we are halfway through our summer week, so I'm trying to figure out what is the best day to add it to. I would actually probably have rather it been on Monday or Tuesday, but I might just go ahead and add it to today. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Oh, can we? No, we can't. Cannot add a holiday on the current day. Okay, well, we'll make it be Thursday then. So we're going to add a holiday, and this is going to be Independence Day. And decoration theme, well, it would be patriotic, but I don't know that we're going to get that. Let's see, Love Day, Harvest Fest, New Year's, Spring, Spooky, or Winter Fest. No. Okay, so we're going to not have any decorations. We will get the day off from work, though. And let's see what should be our traditions that we add to that. Okay, so for Independence Day, the traditions that I've selected are appreciating an object. And so in my mind, this would be the flag, you know, the American flag. So I'll have to kind of figure out what I want that to be as far as the actual object is for our playing the game. I don't know that we've got anything that's a flag really in the game, so I may have to go dig around. I'm sure somebody's made some CC that's an American flag. So that is what that is intended to be. We'll see how that works. If we don't like it, we'll take it out in the future. Barbecue, obviously, that's a fun summer holiday that people would have eaten outside. It may have been more of a picnic as opposed to a barbecue at this point in time, but that's okay. That's what we'll use for that tradition. And I did look it up. They've been doing fireworks since the 1700s for Independence Day, and so fireworks are fair game for us to use on this particular holiday. So that is kind of fun. So like I said, no decoration theme, but we are going to go ahead and take the day off from work. So that gives us our Independence Day. Then we're going to look into the fall. And so one of the big holidays in the fall that I think is super important for us to think about would be what we now know of as Veterans Day. And so Veterans Day is a day where we honor those who are serving in the armed forces. And it actually was not always called Veterans Day. That change happened in the 1950s. But before that, the day did exist, and it was called Armistice Day. And so we're going to add Armistice Day to our calendar in the fall, and we will change the name in the 50s to be Veterans Day. So I'm thinking, let's see, what other fall holidays do we have that I've got to make sure we leave room for? I think the only other fall holiday is Halloween. So let's do Armistice Day earlier in the year. Or the season. Let's do it on this Monday. So we're going to add a holiday. And with Armistice Day, I think that would be definitely, well, it's not Memorial Day, and I am going to add Memorial Day as well, but I do think that there is an element of remembrance that comes along with Armistice Day, with Veterans Day. So that's definitely a good one for us to have. I think Tell Stories is another great one for us to have there, because that's a way for us to give time for those who've served to be able to share their experiences and to kind of tell their stories. So that's definitely one that we've got on there as well. That may honestly be everything that we do for that particular one. Giving gifts, flowers, no, none of those things really make sense. Fighting, I can't imagine what holiday you're going to want to do fighting on. Let's see, fasting, exercise, cleaning. Yeah, I think that this covers it. So let's go ahead. We're going to call this one Armistice Day. And we are going to have the day off from work or school. That is a holiday that we take, and there's not going to be a decoration theme for that. So that gives us that one. And then we've also got, oh, I'm noticing that the little icons are probably based off of the decor theme, and that's why neither of these have one. Interesting. That would be a fun little CC thing if somebody was able to mod it so that you could add a custom image that was here. That would be cute. Or just added more, I don't even need it to be a custom image, just more little Sims icons so that you could choose. That would be a fun mod. If anybody's out there and is interested in modding things, take a look at that. So then we've also got Halloween. We should do Halloween before we do the Thankful Day. Let's see. I hate to do it back to back, but the season's so short. And I don't want it to happen after this. Okay, we're gonna just make this one be Halloween. So Halloween was definitely a thing that existed during the whole time of the Decades Challenge, so it's something we'll add in from the very beginning. It got the mischief piece of it, like handing out little treats is, I think, something that occurred from like the 1840s or something like that. But the mischief piece, the trick part of the trick-or-treat was not as prevalent until we hit the Depression, and then that became a really big thing. So I actually am going to go ahead and add that in as a part of our tradition, because by the time we get there, we're going to be getting so close to the 1930s that I'm going to go ahead and add that in. So we're definitely going to have, scroll down to the bottom, we'll put wear costumes in there, we'll put trick-or-treat in there, we will add spooky spirit. Let's see, the midnight hours is close at hand, ghosts and vampires and aliens are in the plan. Oh my. Oh, but this is carving pumpkins and playing spooky music on the pipe organ. Yep, we'll go ahead and put that in there. We'll add the mischief in there. And I think the last spot will be a decorate spot, which we obviously won't add for a couple more decades. I'm just looking at everything else that's in here. Yep, I think that's about right. We're not going to take a day off from work. You don't get the day off for Halloween. So that is going to be that option. Oh, and that did not give us a little spooky icon. So maybe just all custom holidays are like this. All right, so we've got Independence Day, Armistice Day, Halloween. We need to add our spring holidays. So first I'm going to add, oh goodness, let's see. How are we going to do this? Because they've got Love Day is so late. Both Easter and Memorial Day would happen after that. So we're just going to have to, fudge it a little bit. So let's go ahead. We're going to make this day be Memorial Day. Because it usually happens on a Monday. And Memorial Day has been around since what would be the start of the Decades Challenge. So we're going to have a day off. Oh my goodness, we're going to have so many days off, you guys. Like, our Sims are never going to work. None of these decoration themes are needed. This one, it may wind up having the exact same things as Veterans Day. Okay, so for Memorial Day, I've put in Remembrance and Tell Stories, just like we did with Armistice Day, but I've also added Thankful Spirit, and I think I'm going to go back and add Thankful Spirit to Armistice Day as well, because really it's about giving thanks for the people who have given their lives or who have given their time and their service to our country. So I think Thankful Spirit makes sense for those 2 days. So let's see, that's Memorial Day. Was this one? Yeah. Let's add Thankful Spirit to Armistice Day as well. And then, is this one? Yeah, let's just throw it in the middle here. Easter and Valentine's Day are going to be swapped backwards, but that's just going to be the way that it is. So let's go ahead and make this one be Easter. Okay, so for Easter, I've got Egg Hunt, the Flower Bunny, which I think is kind of their play on the Easter Bunny. And I also give flowers, because I know that Easter flowers are like a huge thing. So I did look it up. Apparently people have been doing Easter eggs since like the 14th century or something like that, which is just kind of bizarre to me. But these are all things that existed for the entire duration of the Decades Challenge, so they're all fair game for that. I've got us with the spring decor. And, oh, I also wanted to add attend holiday ceremony, because again, that'd be kind of like going to church. So we'll leave this spot here because we could also do some decorations for this holiday. And this is another day off from work. So let's go ahead and accept that. I'm a little worried about how many days off from work we have. Let's go ahead. I'm going to, in my head, make a rule no more than 2. Well, let's see. We could make some of these. You know what? Easter should totally be on the Sunday, because Easter's always on a Sunday. Okay, I'm going to make that change. Okay, so now I've got it on the Sunday. That's good. And let's see. We've got, is this a day off from work? I can't even remember now. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's a day off from work. This is not a day off from work, and this one is. Okay, so we've got 2 days off during the fall. 2 days off, because this is 2, right? Yeah, 2 days off during the winter. These are back to back, but that just might be the way it works. Because those are both days off in the spring, but this one doesn't, I don't think. Right, okay. I do feel a little bit weird about like these spring holidays being so close to winter. If we could just move this darn Valentine's Day and have it earlier. Well, I guess we could... I could delete the current one. Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm gonna do that, I think. And then... let's see, if we move Valentine's Day to earlier in the month, we could leave Memorial Day where it is, and then maybe have Easter be on the Saturday instead of the Sunday. I know that sounds really weird, but if we have it here, things are still going to be kind of cold, and Easter's never in the cold time because it's a spring holiday. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm rearranging it again, you guys. Oh, it's a bummer. We lost our little hearts icon when we did that, but this is Valentine's Day now. See, that's such a bummer. I wish that we had a way to transfer those icons a little bit better, because everything just looks like party hats now, but whatever. Okay, so we've got Memorial Day. I'm thinking like from the beginning of the year. So you start with New Year's, you know, holiday. Then you move to Memorial Day. Then you go to Valentine's Day. This is a day off from work. This one's not. Then at the end of spring, you have Easter. I know it's on a Saturday, but we're just going to have to deal with it. Then you move into summer, and then you have Independence Day. It's kind of in the middle of summer. That makes sense to me. It's a day off from work. Once we get to fall, we have Armistice/Veterans Day. That's a day off from work, followed by Halloween, and then Thanksgiving, which is another day off from work, and then you get to Christmas. So I think that this all makes sense, but I'm definitely open to your thoughts and interpretations. So if y'all have different things that you think we should be doing, let me know in the comments down below. I am going to be using this as kind of how I talk about it in the Decades Challenge rules, as kind of like the suggested holiday configuration that people have. So if this is not what you think we should be doing for the Decades Challenge overall, say so, because you've got the opportunity to help me kind of craft what those rules should look like too. Again, trying to stay as like true to what kind of real life, I guess you could say, looks like as we can. So that is that, and also just remembering that we do have one more holiday we're going to be adding on in the 80s, and that will be in the winter time. We'll add Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So it'll probably wind up one of these days, so it'll be happening before Christmas, which is not the way it really happens, but, you know, suspension of disbelief. So, the other exciting thing about the calendar, which we will not institute for a few more decades, is about aging. So, one of the things that you get to do as a part of this calendar, you can see that we've got birthdays that are listed here. So, one of the things that happens with the Decades Challenge is that at the moment, I've got everybody on normal lifespans. And you could continue to do that for the entire challenge if you don't want to deal with it, if it's too much effort. But what I am hoping to be able to do as I'm playing is in the 1950s, people's life expectancies did change. They expanded. They got longer. And so I'm going to switch us from normal lifespan to long lifespan. But the way the Sims have the long lifespan is too long for what would be realistic. So I have an age calculation that is listed in the Decades Challenge rules. I've got it up here on the screen for you right now so that you can see that. And with that age calculation, basically you can calculate the age of when each of your Sims should be aging up. Here, let me show you an example of what our current household looks like. Okay, so I've got the little chart that you're seeing here is an example of what this aging up would look like. So for the sake of kind of the way that I do the age calculation, I usually say that we've got the early part of 1920 and then the later part of 1920. So if you see a year that has a 0.5, that means it's the later part of that year. And the new age calculation won't take effect until we hit the 1950s. So it'll only be for people who are born 1950 or later. So none of the current Sims in the game will have this be a part of their lives. But you can see here what kind of that calculation looks like. So based on how old you are when you age up, I will have to manually age up the Sims at these given years if these were the ones that, you know, we were doing. But with the way that the calendar works, you can manually program a birthday party in for people. So we could say that, I'm just going to toss out an example. Over here, we've got William's birthday. It's supposed to be here. But let's say that that's just what was automatically generated by the game. But because we are doing a manual age up, his birthday should actually take place here, 2 weeks earlier. Because let's pretend like this is on the long lifespan. And so we need to make it happen earlier. So what we could do is we could add an event here and make it be a birthday party. And we could have a birthday party for William listed on this date so that we know, okay, that's when that needs to happen. That's when that aging up happens. So one way that we'll be able to do that is by looking at this overall calendar view, and I'll be able to map out specifically which days are which years. So I'm going to real quick put up on the screen now so that you can see what that looks like for the current calendar. So knowing what today is in our years span, and you can see all of them listed here. I'm not planning on, every time I show the calendar, I am not going to create a graphic that shows you what day is what year, because that, editing wise, that would just take forever. That would be a complete disaster. So I'm not going to do that. Don't expect that moving forward in the Let's Play. But know that that's kind of how I'm looking at it as we're thinking about what the aging might look like moving forward. So that is our overall look at the Johnson family calendar. And I think that that gets us ready to go as far as the calendar. Oh my goodness, this video is going to take forever, you guys. We're still, all we've done is the calendar so far. But that was by far the biggest bulk of it. So we've got our calendar set up. We know what all of our holidays are. That is all good to go. Other new things that came with this pack that will affect our household. So one of the things that we have now in build buy mode is this great new thermostat. Let me get back over to all of our objects so that you can see it. Seasons, there we go. So one of the things, and we looked at this in the last video, is the thermostat. And I kind of did some digging around, you know, indoor heating and indoor air conditioning all kind of came about in different ways. But I think that for the purposes of our Let's Play, central heating and air conditioning kinds of systems did not really start showing up in homes until the 1940s. They looked very different from what we have now. They certainly wouldn't have had a thermostat like this, but I think that it's fair to say that we can add a thermostat to the home starting in the 1940s. That means that for like the first half of the Decades Challenge, you don't get a thermostat, but you do still have seasons. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge to figure out how do people cool off or stay warm when they don't have central heating and air. Again, adding the realism to the Decades Challenge. So that is one thing I'm not going to be adding into the game right this moment. Other things to add, like I talked about, people didn't really start decorating their houses for the holidays until the 1940s, and so we're not going to be adding any of the holiday decor at this time. The exception to that was they did decorate for Christmas, and I would imagine that they would have done like a fall tablescape at Thanksgiving, but we're not adding like lights to the eaves or any of that kind of stuff. Using the decor functions, like the holiday decoration stuff that comes with this pack, is not going to be a big part of our Let's Play for quite some time yet. So that is another piece. One that I am excited about, and I didn't think that this was going to be the case, but we can go ahead and use the scouting badges. So I looked it up. The Boy Scouts of America was founded in 1910, and the Girl Scouts of America was founded in 1912. So those are both going to be something that gets added to the Decades Challenge in the decade of the 1910s. And we're definitely past that ourselves, and so I actually think it would be really fun for us to do the scouting badges. So I kind of hate the fact that there's like this massive easel that is a part of it. I wish that there was like a little smaller poster or something, but that's okay. I think it can just kind of nestle in here. What kind of wood choices do we have? Yeah, let's go with the darker wood. So all of our kids can do the scouting badges. And in my head, some of that is kind of like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, but also what was actually probably more prevalent in the southeastern United States during the early half of the 1900s. People did things like 4-H. I don't know if that's something that everybody's familiar with, but it's kind of like, if you think about Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts as being a activity for kids learning how to do camping and survival skills and that kind of a thing, 4-H would have been kids learning how to do agricultural and farming skills. My dad was in 4-H all throughout elementary school through on to high school. And my mom was actually, and I'd have to look this one up to see. My guess is this was probably like a 1950s invention, but so my dad was a part of like 4-H, and then in high school, the club he was a part of, which would have been the late 60s, was called the Future Farmers of America. And then my mom was in the club that was the Future Homemakers of America. And I think that was just kind of like a home ec thing. So kind of interesting to see how those things play out. So I think that the scouting thing is awesome. And in some ways, in my head, that is a scouting thing. But in some ways, that also kind of functions like 4-H would. Because we live on a farm. So that is the scouting aspect of our new season's game. And then the other big thing, of course, is all of the gardening stuff. So, two different things that are going on with this. First of all, I am going to take our existing plants, which as you can see, they look a little different than they did last time I played the game. That's because these things are out of season, so they're dormant. So I am actually going to rearrange our garden so that we have the 4 seasons kind of grouped separately, so that you're not like, oh, there's a spring plant over here and a spring plant that's like way over here and all this other stuff is dead in between. You know what I mean? I want to kind of group it so that we've got the 4 seasons plotted out so that they're able to manage that a little bit more simply. I think that if they were actually planting it for real, that's what they would have done. So I'm going to do that. I will do that rearranging off camera though. So I'll show it to you at the end of this video. But y'all are not going to have to watch me move all the plants around. And then the other big thing is we now have the option to have a greenhouse because we have the glass roofs. And so I did a little bit of research into that as well to see, okay, well, all these plants that are dormant now, could we just throw them in a greenhouse and have like a big farm greenhouse? Because, you know, that hoop houses and things like that totally exist in the real world. And those did not exist on a commercial scale until the 1960s. However, the Victorian era was huge for people to have personal gardens and little greenhouses. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange, man, it is so dark. It's just crazy how dark it is when it's cloudy. I think I might make the end of our patio here be like a little greenhouse. I'm toying with that idea because it's unused space at this time. And I do think that one of the things that Marie might do is she might have a few plants, specifically in my mind I'm thinking of maybe a couple of flowers and things that she would use as the laundry additives. Or maybe even a couple of berries and things like that that she might use in her cooking. So she might have a few plants. It's not going to be a farm, but a few plants for household use that she would keep under a greenhouse. So I'm going to play with that a little bit too. And I do think at some point I am going to have them get some bees, but I'm going to let that be a part of the Let's Play. I'm not going to do that in this video. So give me just a moment and I will rearrange the plants and I will see what I can come up with as far as a personal greenhouse for Marie. So I've done quite a bit of work and I have a few things to show you guys. So I have basically taken the end of the patio and they just enclosed it. So the window that was to that little library family activity room is still the same. And the interior of her little gardening area has the same look as the exterior of the house. So they really just kind of like enclosed part of the porch is basically what I was going for. So we've got glass windows for a lot of it. and I brought in a couple of things from the field. So we've got this one was a snapdragon, which it does not look like a flower right now because it's out of season outside, but I'm imagining that when she goes in there to do something with it, that it'll wake back up. Because as you can see, it's sheltered. That's what it says right there. We've also got a chrysanthemum and a chamomile. So I thought that those would be some good things for her to have in the house. She's got one more little pot here so that she can do something else if she wants to. I've got the double doors in here right now because it did look really good with the double doors that already existed out here. But if we decided we wanted another pot, I could easily just make that be a single door. So that's, I mean, super simple, but that's what I've got for us. I actually did not take a look at the roof. What kind of roof is on it? Do I have to go up a level? Yeah. Okay, so it still has the regular porch roof, so I actually think I probably need to switch that out. Oh, nope, go back down. This tree has been driving me crazy. I probably need to switch that out for a glass roof. So let's actually take a look at our new glass roofs. Where are they? This is mission style. That's not it. Is that it? Glass roof. Yes. Okay, so all of these. So this is a square panel. This is a rectangle, honeycomb, solid sheet of glass. A little more ornate, which honestly is really, really pretty. I've seen so many pictures on Twitter of people playing with that. And then the diamond. I think the diamond is probably the most traditional looking. How do we... No, go back down. How do I make it so that this has a glass roof, but this doesn't? Let's see. I wonder if I can do that. And throw a new roof on. Let's see. Maybe? Let's try that. Oh my gosh, tree. Stop being so annoying. I want to make him a lot shorter and rotate him around. And this is always the part that's hard for me, is getting everything to line up and not like overlap weird. Okay, let's see how that did. I don't know what I think about that. What do you guys think? Maybe just it's the wrong pattern. See, that just looks too modern to me. So does that. Maybe if it's just a solid sheet. See, that doesn't... I think it needs to have something. Maybe we do go with the ornate one. Maybe that was like a treat for her because it's the Art Deco time period and they just really went all out. You know what? Let's go with that. I kind of like that idea. Though, can I make it any shorter? No, I cannot. So it kind of sits weird. But because like I hate how it cuts into the house. Can I clip it back any? Yeah, that helps some. I think it just looks really weird, but I think that's just kind of where it's at. And then I do need to make sure that we've got the little eave there so that it matches too. Okay, let's see what that looks like in live mode. That's not so bad, right? Let me know in the comments below if you've got a better suggestion for how to make that happen. But anyway, so this is going to be Marie's little, her little greenhouse area. I did put a flower arranging table in here for her. I don't know that she'll actually use it. She might, but I thought it would be a good thing for her to have in her little area regardless. So that is that. And then the thing that really took a long time is the farm, which I'm pretty proud of what it came up with. So as you can see, you actually, y'all might not actually be able to tell much of a difference because it really does have a very similar kind of layout, but I've completely rearranged all the plants and I actually like erased all of the terrain tools and put it back down again, which is one of those things that I'm not very good at, so it looks a little sloppy. But what I've basically done is here we have a lot of our summer plants, so a lot of this is in season. Some of these are summer fall, some of them are summer spring, and some of them are just summer. And then over here, these are, I think these are summer fall. Yeah, those are summer fall. Then we've got a bunch that are fall and also fall/spring. Those are in here too. And then also our winter, which we really don't have very many that are winter. So that might be something for us to work on moving forward in the Decades Challenge, is to find some more winter plants so that we don't go completely fallow during the winter time. And then I also kind of rearranged the trees so that these were more of the summery, and actually it's mostly like these are all fall, and I think these are fall and winter, and then this is everything else. So because we have just so many apple trees. And I do have a little bit of room for us to grow, which of course we can always rearrange later. So that is basically the setup that I've got for the Decades Challenge. We're pretty much ready to play again. And I am so excited with all of these little changes that we've had for our family that are going to hopefully really bring them some fun stuff for their lives. So much in this pack to explore. There's going to be even more as we keep going. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys having an interest in my Decades Challenge and all the fun stuff that Seasons is going to bring to it. If you haven't already, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and that you hit that little notification bell so that you get a notification every time I upload. And you definitely want to be subscribed because I have a giveaway going on my channel right now, giving away a Sims t-shirt. And one of the requirements is that you have to be subscribed to my YouTube channel. So all of the details about that giveaway are in the link down in the description below. So make sure that you check that out. And also make sure that you hit the big old thumbs up on this video to show just how excited you are for Seasons and for seasons to come to my Decades Challenge. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks so much, y'all. Bye!